first thing is, I hope you're doing the same thing too. Pay your taxes. I believe in paying my proper share of taxes. We need to maintain a good government. I think good government is important. It lays down the foundation, the structure, so people who can afford to live in Alameda can live in Alameda. And I'm a chiropractor, and we're regulated by a chiropractic board. If we don't have a chiropractic board to oversee us, you're going to have chiropractors everywhere. So as a good Democrat, I believe in good government. I believe in all the principles of the democratic process. I believe in equal rights. I believe in marriage equality. I believe in paying my fair share of taxes. I am a member of this club. I'm a member of the Asian Pacific American Democratic Club, and I support many Democratic candidates to office. I've always been a Democrat all my life. I'm a staunch Democrat. I've never crossed the party line as far as voting process. Thank you.
So my involvement in the club kind of goes along with the 14 other organizations that I'm involved with on one way or another. And I realize I have a problem and I'm trying to work on a 12-step program. So let me tell you how it starts, is that you see an organization and you decide that is a very valuable organization and you want to go and learn a little bit more about it, or you want to know how to vote. And so I showed up one night and thought this was really good, and someone said, well, would you like to join? How much is it? And it was $35. I said, what the heck? Yes. But then you get a newsletter. And then you get a newsletter and you understand, well, this is a very valuable club. So you pay that, you're going to the meetings regularly, you're learning both about local politics and state politics with the lectures that we had. So that was great. And then the person that's doing the hospitality decides they're not going to do it anymore. And for those of you that know me, hospitality tends to be my middle name. And I said, well, somebody needs to come up and volunteer to do that. And that was okay. That took care of my lawyer skills. I was able to do all that. That was fine. But then there are other opportunities that you have that are more serious. And so my event production background, I was asked if I could chair our garden party for 1 year, where funding is so important. I had a lot of connections with the business community through my association there, which is the same thing. Joined it socially. Next thing I know, I'm on a board there as well. But there were a lot of retailers, a lot of realtors there, and we were able to pick up a building for free. Wow. And that now translates into several $1,000s that we can use for other purposes. So, and just quickly going through, because I had to figure out all these events I was doing, how did they translate back to democratic principles? So, the events for diversity. I was on the Harvey Milkgate Committee and helped get that first one going. Last year I was a little busy. This year I was not able to help as much as I could. I am also one of two. Stuart and I got together and co-founded the Asian Pacific Islander Cultural Festival, because I chewed him out because we never have anything here in Alameda to represent Chinese New Year. So we're in our second year and we are identifying the multiple cultures that identify the community of the Asian Pacific Islander. Outward government, I am a 2-term president with the League of Women Voters and the facilitator, as I mentioned, for the Sunshine Task Force. On the environment, I am a member of Bike Alameda. I was on the advocacy committee for a while when we were working with Alameda Landing. My event production experience got me in trouble, and now I'm sharing Bike to Work Day along with one other person. And the full emphasis on Bike to Work Day for me is functional. Can we get a person out of a car to go to the theater? So we had Bike to the Movies Day. Can we get somebody to go to a happy hour in town on a bike instead? So we had Bike Away from Work Day. And we got very good support for that. I want to talk briefly about leveraging, because you can't always do everything and be hands-on. 30 seconds. So I am a member of the Alameda Rotary Club, and we do lots and lots of fundraising. That money goes to grants to nonprofits here in the community, and it'll go to scholarships for local Alameda residents. And then I'm a sustaining member of something called eBase, based out of Oakland, and they fight for workers' rights throughout the Bay Area, primarily in Oakland, so that they have good quality jobs.
Thank you. I'll give you 2 examples of things I've done to advance democratic principles, although the first one I'll tell you about actually required me to leave Alameda. 4 years ago in 2008, I traveled to 3 states at my own expense to volunteer as a voter protection attorney in the Obama campaign. They were incredibly organized and were contacting attorneys, getting us to come to battleground states. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And so I went to Texas for the primary and caucus. And it was kind of like going back to law school because they sent us the PDF of the Texas, not only primary, but caucus rules. It's 2 separate sets. It was like this big, but I read it on the plane flight in my hotel room beforehand. And it was so inspiring to meet people from all over, really across the country, who had come to Texas to see the caucus, which takes place after the primary. Our caucus, people were lining up at 10 o'clock at night. And they brought their children, and the line went around the block, and it was just amazing to see. But the attorney volunteers were there to make sure, they had the campaign knew that there were certain states where we needed to make sure that voting laws were followed. And I said, okay, I've done my job. I went. It was a wonderful experience. But then as time went by, I started to get worried, and so I volunteered again to go to Indiana for the primary there. I was in Indianapolis, and again, a very inspiring experience, and it was very gratifying, and I thought, that's it, I've done it. But then the general election came up, and they're still emailing and asking for attorneys, and I thought, I don't want to wake up the morning after Election Day saying, I wish I had done more. So I went to Youngstown, Ohio, and that's where I was a voter protection attorney. And it was just an amazing experience being there, and just as amazing on our plane flight back, because we stopped and picked up passengers in Chicago, and oh my gosh, all those people have been out in the park on election night, and they were like flying high, except the guy sitting next to me, who I think was a Republican. But anyway, what I did in this spring in Alameda is I shared the effort with the League of Women Voters in Alameda, the Alameda County Register of Voters. We visited every high school in the city, and we registered every eligible high school senior to vote in the primary election. And Deborah Lavis here, she helped me, and that effort will go forward in the fall, not with me, because now that I'm on the ballot, I can't help with that, but we registered young voters.
In the golf course battles, I think some of the things that we achieved were very representative of democratic principles. We fought a turnover of public property, parkland property, to developer. We championed selecting a green operator as opposed to one that wanted to use a lot of chemicals that were going to be bad for our environment. We forced the city to reveal the truth about things that had been hidden. And we mobilized a lot of public support to come in and oppose some staff recommendations and convince City Council to vote in a way that was going to lead us into the future. I think all of those things were democratic principles in action. One of the other specific things I've done to advance democratic principles is that every single darn election, I vote to cancel out my husband's Republican. At Gordon's point, I try to encourage him to be doing something out of town on election day. In terms of what I think this club could do to improve democratic participation, I think having forums like this are terrific. I think that this club should be active in encouraging people who are sitting on city council, people who are sitting on various boards and commissions, to come in on an agendized topic and give their points of view and invite the public and publicize it, because I think that's kind of the way to really mobilize our community involvement. We hear a lot about engaging the community. This is the kind of community engagement that I fully support, and I really appreciate being invited here tonight, and I encourage the club to do more along these lines, not just in connection with an election. Thank you.
This is a true story, so let me tell it. Many years ago, in the late 1990s, 2 members of the City of Alameda Democratic Club approached City Council because they were upset about the possibilities of cheaper cigarettes moving into the corner of Park Street and Central Avenue. And the 2 Democratic Club members were Joanna Dicker, and I believe it was Peggy Williams. I think it was Peggy Williams. And as a result of their upset about the possibilities of cheaper cigarettes coming in, we then started the Park Street Revisioning Downtown Plan. And what you see along Park Street, as well as the movie theater, all came out of that plan. To be sure, there was a John Knowles property where the Starbucks is located now, and that was nice back then. But it was by the hard effort of Democratic members like Joanna Dichter and Peggy Williams that you see the Park Street that it is now. And that's the thing about the City of Alameda Democratic Club, that we have always been in the forefront of all social and economic progress here in the City of Alameda. As a club member and as a former council member, I'm proud to have been part of that. Whether it dealt with the first Iraq resolution, which members brought to me, and I brought it to City Council, and we had a special meeting that we held on a Saturday morning at the Elks Club. Or whether it was dealing with gay lesbian issues that our club had championed, and me as a council member had implemented new policies, particularly with regard to the real estate transfer tax. So let no one ever say that being engaged in partisan politics, like a Democratic club, or just being engaged in the political process doesn't have its results. Because here in Alameda, here in 2012, we are so much light years away from where we were in 1994, economically and socially. And it was because of the active involvement of the City of Alameda Democratic Club, of which I'm a proud member, and which I am proud to say that there were a lot of things that I did as a city council member working with the club. And if elected as a council member, I look forward to doing that.